announcements. You probably saw that we're starting to send out information about the Pepperwood Session the first weekend in September. I think what I want to just say is Pepper being invited to Pepperwood feels to me like kind of manna from heaven, like it just kind of dropped down. And I think we're okay with that open, Gretchen, unless you're cold. I think we're okay with that.
I'm sorry?
I think we're okay.
Just the background sound. That was, that was my concern, but I can look it right back up.
Are people having trouble hearing?
Yeah.
You okay? Okay. Let's just, and we can close it if it, yeah. The basketball seems to be, they're keeping their doors closed, so.
Yeah, they're in there, but they're not making much noise, so. Open or close?
Open.
Open.
Thanks. So to me, avowing life, I mean, my life at this point, but Pepperwood feels like part of that, is it's an act of faith. It's like, why do you get up in the morning? I mean, it's an act of faith that you get up in the morning. So this and and it just feels like this land is asking us to be there and asking us to be there uh, in a more sustained and overnight way. So we're trying to figure out how to do that and take care of that, what feels like a kind of call, and also take care of the Sangha and take care of all of us. So we're hoping everyone, trusting everyone, will continue to be flexible and curious as we feel our way in the dark on this. Okay, that's my which is what bodhisattvas do. So that's we're focusing on bodhisattvas. We have been and we continue to. So today I'm going to cover Shantideva is the way of the bodhisattva. No problem doing it in half an hour. I want to tell you, I was really working on this today, just thinking, what do I do? Anyway, but we couldn't. I just you can't talk about bodhisattvas and not talk about Shantideva. So. And we have studied it in the past, and it is on the website. Shelley's great. She's put so many things up there. It's a little embarrassing, but they are there. So we're going to give a taste today, and do it again sometime because it made me want to do that. Yesterday, I'm going to just do another toe dip into the Vimalakirti Sutra, which we studied. I don't know, year or so ago. I have no idea. I have no sense of time. Then next week, both Gretchen and Rachel are going to give talks on the earth as Bodhisattva. And the week after that, we're going to have talks, Debbie with Beth and Ellen about sanctuary and the Bodhisattva aspects of sanctuary. And then after that, we're going to enter into Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. Just ground it all in Suzuki Roshi. I have two books with me. One is the actual sutra, A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. It's translated by Stephen Batchelor. We've never studied Stephen Batchelor directly, but Stephen Batchelor is great. When I, quote, left Buddhism for a while, Stephen Batchelor was the one that got me to come back because he stripped it down to bare bones. He didn't add anything extra, and it was exactly what I needed to re-enter. And then, of course, I put everything back on top of it. But because I'm mean, you don't have to. But he's great. And Pema Chodron's Becoming Bodhisattvas. This is a guidebook for compassionate action, living the way of the Bodhisattva in today's world. Don't worry, we got you covered. So maybe I'll just start by reading a little bit from the introduction from Pema's book. People like us can make a difference. The way of the Bodhisattva was composed in India over 12 centuries ago, and yet it remains remarkably relevant for our times. This classic text, written by the Indian sage Shantideva, gives surprisingly up-to-date instructions for people like you and me to live sanely and open-heartedly, even in a very troubled world. It is the essential guidebook for fledgling bodhisattvas. See, how could we skip it? Those spiritual warriors, that's a term that the Tibetans, especially the Shambhala tradition, uses, spiritual warriors. I've never felt quite comfortable with it, but those spiritual warriors who long to alleviate suffering, their own and that of others. Thus, it belongs to the Mahayana, the school of Buddhism that emphasizes all-inclusive compassion and the cultivation of our flexible, unbiased wisdom mind. All-inclusive compassion and the cultivation of our flexible, unbiased wisdom mind. It's all about bodhicitta and how to practice with it, how to recognize it and cultivate it. And Shantideva's writing is actually kind of a poem. It's a text on meditation and how to make ourselves a vessel of bodhicitta. So here's the story about Shantideva. It's a story often told, who knows if it's true, but I kind of like it. Maybe you will too. Let's see. She gives a little bit earlier story here. Let me see what she says here. Maybe not. He was born a prince in 8th century India, and as the eldest son was destined to inherit the throne. In one account, that sort of sounds like the Buddha story. I mean, this is a kind of trope in these early stories. In one account of the story, the night before his coronation, Shantideva had a dream in which Manjushri, who we studied, Manjushri with the sword of wisdom. That's great. I'm seeing nods. Oh, this makes me so happy. Appeared to him and told him to renounce worldly life and seek ultimate truth. Thus Shantideva left home immediately, giving up the throne for the spiritual path, just as the historical Buddha did. He disappeared into India, began living the life of a renunciate, and eventually he arrived at Nalanda University, which was the largest, most powerful monastery in India at that time. I've actually stood in the ruins of Nalanda. I count that as, I'm not going to say pride, but so that I got in a lifetime, I got to stand there. It was a place of great learning that attracted students from all over the Buddhist world. At Nalanda, he was ordained a monk and given the name Shantideva, which translates as God of Peace. Okay, now, least you start projecting that Shantideva was a saint. Contrary to what his later reputation suggests, Shantideva was not well liked at Nalanda. So the story is told that he was famous for being the worst student. He would just goof off. He never studied. He never practiced. People bothered him. He bothered them. He just ate and slept and shit. Are you liking him better? No.
He sounds so familiar.
So they wanted to needle him, it's like they wanted to get him to leave because there were some kind of rules where they couldn't like kick him out or whatever. It's in here, but I'm not gonna. So they asked him to give a Dharma talk. They wanted to humiliate him. These nice, kind monks. And they figured he didn't know anything, so he'd be forced to leave. And they even built a huge throne for him to sit on without stairs.
Yeah.
Compassion all the way around, huh? And what came out of Shantideva were these verses. This is a better description in here. To their astonishment, Shantideva had no problem getting onto the throne. And then he confidently asked the assembled monks if they wanted traditional teachings or something they had never heard before. When they replied they wanted to hear something new, you can imagine they're all just chortling. It's like, let's really set this guy up. He proceeded to deliver the way of the Bodhisattva, the Bodhicharyavatara. Not only were these teachings very personal, full of useful advice and relevant to their lives, they were also poetic and fresh. The content itself was not radical. In the very first verses, Shantideva says that everything he's about to teach derives from the lineage of the Buddha. It wasn't his subject matter that was original. It was the direct and very contemporary way he expressed the teachings and the beauty and power of his words. Towards the end of the presentation, Shantideva began to teach on emptiness, the unconditioned, inexpressible, dream-like nature of all experience. As he spoke, the teachings became more and more groundless. There was less and less to hold on to, and the monks' minds opened further and further. At that point, it is said that Shantideva began to float. He levitated upward until the monks could no longer see him and could only hear his voice. Perhaps this just expresses how enraptured his audience felt. We will never know for sure. What we do know is that after Shantideva's discourse on emptiness, he disappeared. By then, his disappearance probably disappointed the monks, but he never returned to Nalanda and remained a wandering yogi for the rest of his life. Kind of gets your attention, huh? True, not true? I don't know, but I like it. Okay, the way of the Bodhisattva is divided into 10 chapters. Here, I think I'll just read this. Pema says, she quotes Nagarjuna, who's a Buddhist master, that the chapters are organized into 3 main sections by a scholar following what Nagarjuna said. Here it is. May bodhicitta, precious and sublime, arise where it has not yet come to be. And where it has arisen, may it not decline, but grow and flourish ever more and more. Pema says, personally, I am indebted to Shantideva for his determination to get this message across. People like you and me can transform our lives by awakening the longing of bodhicitta. And I am deeply grateful to him for expressing unrelentingly that it is urgent, very urgent, that we do so. We have no time to lose. In fact, I think that I have another, it's the same book, I think, but the title of it is No Time to Lose. When I look at the state of the world today, and that was even before the state of the world today, I know his message could not possibly be more timely. And now, for as long as space endures, as long as there are beings to be found, may I continue likewise to remain to drive away the sorrows of the world. Chapter 10. Okay, the 3 sections that it's divided into is 1, bodhicitta, 2, which I'm going to talk about, 2, working skillfully with emotional reactivity, and it focuses on the paramitas, which I just happened to talk about on Sunday, and we do have a recording of the talk. And then 3, how bodhicitta can become a way of life. Bodhicitta. The thought, the impulse, the yearning of waking up out of the dream of our confused life into our real life. like, what's really going on here? The essence being human beings, greed, hate, and delusion, right? I mean, we kind of course in that a lot. Bodhicitta is about love and concern for others, their happiness and well-being in the short and long run, which is the opposite of our usual approach to life, which is we're all just, I mean, I am, you do your own investigation. I'm enormously self-centered. And I also have this really deep heart that just suffers the suffering of the world and with others suffering and really want people to be happy. I want everybody to be happy and to wake up. We all do, or we wouldn't be here. And then it's amazing how the next minute you, I mean, small ways, whatever. I mean, this is it. It's so humbling. So bodhicitta is a rising of this deep vow, this deep knowing that this is what it's all about. That's what we got born for. It changes our sense of purpose and vision for living, that no matter what happens, we know where we are and what is the most important thing. We forget, we fall down, we get up. This is it. Self-centered, everything feels incomplete. We're not getting what we want. There's something wrong here. It's off balance. We must be doing it wrong. They must be doing it wrong. Bodhicitta, just this is it, and we just commit. The world is illumined by light. It's expansive, and it's a view of goodwill and happiness. Our real self and the self of others are completely interchangeable. And our happiness is someone else's happiness, and their happiness is our happiness. It all sounds, well, how many people want this? Yeah. Yeah. How many people are also self-centered? I mean, you don't have to read that. Yeah. Okay. So, excellence of bodhicitta. Two parts. One is aspiring bodhicitta. It said from the minute that you have this impulse to arise, it's already happened. You can't, I mean, you can go backwards, you can go forwards, but it's already happened. You're already completely on the path. You've already woken up to your true nature, and then it's just the living and the manifesting of it. Two, active bodhicitta. You make an irreversible, this is Shantideva, commitment. The mind, the heart embraces bodhicitta, and you really wish for all beings to be free. And you really want to cultivate that feeling all the time. That's why I come to Sangha. That's why I sit. That's why I study. That's why my little eye needs someplace to be held. It keeps reminding it that it's bigger than itself and to not make things small. They say bodhicitta can be like a flash of lightning. You're just walking around minding your own business, and all of a sudden it's like, the world isn't what I thought it was. So here's, I'm going to read you from here. This is chapter 1. This intention to benefit all beings, which does not arise in others even for their own sake, is an extraordinary jewel of the mind, and its birth is an unprecedented wonder. How can I fathom the depths of the goodness of this jewel of the mind, the panacea that relieves the world of pain and is the source of all its joy? If merely a benevolent intention excels veneration of the Buddha, Whoa, it's even better than venerating the Buddha. Then what need to mention striving to make all beings without exception happy? Although wishing to be rid of misery, they run towards misery itself. Although wishing to have happiness like an enemy, we ignorantly destroy it. For those who are deprived of happiness and burdened with many sorrows, it satisfies them with all joys and dispels all suffering and clears away confusion. Where is there a comparable virtue? Where is there even such a friend? Where is there merit similar to this? If whoever repays a kind deed is worthy of some praise, then what need to mention the Bodhisattvas who do good without it being asked of them? I bow down to the body of those in whom the precious sacred mind is born. I seek refuge in that source of joy who brings happiness, even to those who bring harm. Okay, so the next step is confession. Shantideva says you really have to look at yourself, all my ancient twisted karma from beginningless greed, hate, and delusion. We get to see how we are creating the world through our dualistic view of self and other. Not blame, not shame, not just eyes wide open. We want happiness. We want to wake up, study the self, open our hearts to bodhicitta by feeling our problems till we come to the end of them. Well, maybe I'll come to the end of them. That would be nice. We face our own conduct and the totality of human conduct and really see it for what it is. And we accept it and we forgive. Only then can we commit ourselves to bodhicitta. My little friend Jose, such a great teacher. I walked in, I'm doing confession. I walked in after this sitting on Sunday, and he and Bruce had been out and they'd bought chocolate brownies. There was a little piece sitting on the counter. And I, without even thinking, what do you think I did? I ate it. But I didn't know that it was Jose's last piece of chocolate that he was saving. And we can imagine, given where he foster adopted, this was, anyway, he was not happy with me. And he was carrying it. He carried it I just kept apologizing. I really apologized. I really did wrong. I'm so sorry. How can I make it up to you? And I thought we were doing better. I mean, we were doing better. And then the next day, all of a sudden, I did something that was a little, you really need people around to remind you. The next day, I did something that was a little off, and he looked at me like, you ate my chocolate. I'm sorry. So we get really humble. We admit our mistakes and our shortcomings and take full responsibility for our lives, including, I told him I had chocolate greed. I fully confessed. Next chapter. Full commitment to bodhicitta is developing a clear intention. Oh, I wish my intention had been there before my hand reached out for me. But I'm learning. We come down to earth. We have great intentions, but they only last for a short while. See, this isn't just me. It's not just you. So the rest of the book is Shantideva saying, roll up your sleeves and do daily work of spiritual practice. Ordinary, persistent, look at your mind, look at your heart. Challenging things will happen. Work with anger, patience, meditation. Look at your life and live with care. It says here, I don't know where this note came from. The opposite is to be drunk or in a trance or a dream. Just kind of wandering around. Bumper cars, bump, bump, bump. Stumbling and staggering through life in a stupor. Okay, so then I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to name it. He encourages us to use our intelligence and our awareness and our attentiveness to keep our passion alive. Pay attention. What do you really want? Let the world wake you up. Takes discipline. Did you know the root word of discipline, which some of us might have reactions to, is disciple, to be a disciple of? I want to be a disciple of kindness. I want to be a disciple of goodness. Thank you. Maybe bake him his own batch. No, yeah, I trust me, I'm going to make it up to him. But not when it looks like I'm bribing him, because that's not it either. Okay, so discipline. The three disciplines: not causing harm, gathering, cultivating virtue, and benefiting others. That's where the paramitas come in. Practice generosity, practice ethical behavior, the precepts, patience, energy and enthusiasm. I really want to do this. Meditation, and here it's wisdom, which I appreciate that Norman Fisher retranslated that as understanding, but we'll keep it wisdom here because that's Shantideva. Some of his most famous chapters, the most revered, are on patience, meditation, and wisdom. He has a big part on anger. So Shantideva is very practical here. Here's 3 points to work with in case you ever get angry. Do you want to know? So just want to make sure you're paying attention. Okay. When we get angry, we are focused on the external. Shift the habit to see anger as internal. And Shantideva, he's got strong language, to see it as an enemy. Look at its deep roots. The real source is ego grasping. I want, I don't want. Whoa, whoa. I wanted this and I didn't get it. And in case you know the slogans, always meditate on what causes resentment. I love that one. Resentment. Anybody here have resentment? Yeah. Just turn it around. What's the source of it? Be curious about it instead of running away with it. Or maybe if you're like me, you're doing a little bit of both. Run away with it and then say, wait a minute, come on back. Come on. So this is one thing I want to share because it really stays with me. Sometimes things stay with you for a long time. Shantideva says, whatever wholesome deeds that have been amassed will be destroyed in a moment of anger. I think, oh, come on. That's a little strong. Study it. Moments of anger. Potent. Whatever wholesome deeds that have been amassed will be destroyed in a moment of anger. Makes you respect anger a lot, huh? Studying it and paying attention. Don't do harm. Okay, then he goes on. This is going to take enthusiasm. It's going to take, Pema Chodron says, heroic perseverance. And then meditation. And I'm going to read you from Pema. She says, this is his most famous practice. The equality of self and other. Strive at first to meditate upon the sameness of yourself and others. In joy and sorrow, all are equal. Thus be guardian of all as of yourself. The hand and other limbs are many and distinct, but all are one. One body to be kept and guarded. Likewise, different beings in their joys and sorrows are like me, all one in wanting happiness. Everybody wants to be happy. My pain does not, in fact, afflict My pain does not, in fact, afflict or cause discomfort in another's body. Through clinging to my I, this suffering is mine, and being mine, it is hard to bear. Come back and feel your own pain and suffering. Notice when you're projecting it out. The other being's pain I do not feel, and yet because I take them for my own, their suffering is likewise hard to bear. And therefore I'll dispel the pain of others, for it is simply pain, just like my own. And others will aid and benefit, for they are living beings, just like me. Since I and other beings both in wanting happiness are equal and alike, what difference is there to distinguish us that I should strive to have my bliss alone? Since I and other beings both in fleeing suffering are equal and alike, what difference is there to distinguish us that I should save myself and not the other? Are you feeling humble? This humbles me, because I sure know I've got my list of who's out there that I'm not so sure they're me. Way easier to project anger. Come into chapter 9, because we've got it right on wisdom. Pema says when she wrote this, and this was years ago, I don't know if she'll do it in her lifetime. Maybe she's doing it. Probably. I mean, I'm sure she's living it. Is she thought that the final chapter on wisdom needed a whole book of its own. So she stopped there with chapter 9. In Mahayana Buddhism, wisdom has a special meaning. It's a faculty like an organ of vision. You know that beautiful, I love she herself is an organ of vision when we chant homage to the project. I love that. It's an organ of vision. It's almost like an eye that looks at things and sees the empty nature of everything. And when we can see this way, we become a vessel of peace and love and sympathy. And when we discover this for ourselves, everything becomes much easier. I think it's very disorienting. It's like the teaching is that the world is upside down, but we think it's right side up. And when it's very disorienting to me sometimes of when things open and become still, and there's a different sense of interconnection and flow. I can almost see my little self scurrying back to safe ground because it wants to be where it knows something, and it feels like it's in control, even though there's this open, spacious ground that we get to taste sometimes. That's why we're going to Pepperwood, so we can sit together and wake up together. Okay, so last chapter is dedication. There's lots of different translations, but this is the translation. They say this is the Dalai Lama's translation. I'm not so sure. May all beings everywhere plagued by suffering of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living being suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose body are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing. May the hungry find food. I think he did I like this translation. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. I just made a decision. I'm going to chant this every day. I just feels like good medicine. Okay, so here's a little exercise. We'll just stay together in the time we have. Imagine that you are Shantideva and that you've committed yourself to bodhicitta without doubt. Like this that I just read, this is without doubt what you want. It's the truth of your own heart and your own mind. Just imagine, I mean, if it's not true, it's okay. Just imagine it for a moment. Just feel it in your body and your heart and mind. And how does it feel in your body and breath to be this person? So we can have a little discussion. And if you want to bring forward the parts of you that have all kinds of other opinions, that seems fair game too. But it also, it's kind of like Suzuki Roshi. I always think when he says, you're perfect just as you are and you could use a little improvement, is we're so focused on improvement. What if for a moment we just let ourselves rest in the part of ourselves that just deeply wants to be a vessel of happiness and healing and comfort for ourselves and the whole world?